Ever wondered why some brands seem to stick around in your mind while others just fade away? That's the power of brand positioning. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what that means, why it matters, and how you can make it your brand's superpower. Hi, my name's Hugh. I've been helping entrepreneurs and founders create better and more meaningful brands for over 15 years now. And I started this channel to demystify the branding process because at its core, I think once you understand the principles behind it, branding is actually a really simple process. Right then, let's get into it. What is brand positioning? If we say that branding is about winning the hearts and minds of consumers and turning them into loyal fans, well, brand positioning is the strategy for winning the minds. It's the position that your brand occupies in the mind of the customer relative to your competitor. And if that sounds a little bit abstract, let's look at a visual example. So take a Porsche and Volvo. Both sell cars, so same product category, but because of the way they've positioned themselves, they're not really in competition with each other. So let's plot them on this 4-quadrant graph. This is a really handy tool when we're thinking about brand positioning. And on the y-axis, we've got performance at the top and reliability and safety at the bottom. And the x-axis, we've got everyday practicality on the left, moving towards luxury on the right. Now, where would Porsche sit? Somewhere up here in the top right. They're all about performance and luxury. And how about Volvo? Will they be down towards the bottom left? They're all about reliability, safety, and practicality. So same product category, completely different positions. Now let's have a look at one more example from a different industry. Let's compare Apple and Dell. So on the y-axis, we've got innovation and design at the top and customization and flexibility at the bottom. On the x-axis, we've got value and practicality on the left, moving towards premium experience on the right. So where would Apple sit? Will it be up here somewhere in the top right? Because they're all about innovation and design, and they're firmly in that premium experience space. And Dell, will they be somewhere down here towards the bottom left? It's more about practicality, affordability, and flexibility, the ability to configure and customize. And this is the power of brand positioning. It allows brands to separate themselves in the minds of customers. And you can literally plot where one brand sits relative to another based on the attributes or qualities that you think are important to your audience. So the first reason that brand positioning is incredibly powerful is that it allows us to be intentional about our differentiation. So positioning forces you to get intentional about how you're going to stand out from your competitors. And in today's world, that has never mattered more before. You know, with the rise of AI generated content, AI generated everything, it's super easy for businesses to pump out loads and loads of content. But the problem is that most of that is lacking any genuine connection or meaning. And by positioning yourself smartly, this is your tool to cut through all of that AI generated noise. And if that sounds like something that you're interested in, I recently made a video about how AI is impacting branding and how authenticity is going to be more and more important than it's ever been before. So I'll link that above if that sounds interesting to you. Okay, and the second reason that positioning is so powerful is because it can actually reduce your competition. When you position yourself well, you create your own little bubble. Think back to that Porsche and Volvo example that we looked at earlier. Are both selling cars, both seemingly in the exact same game. But there's no way that someone who's in the market to buy a Porsche is ever going to pivot and buy a Volvo. They're solving completely different problems for completely different people, and they're unapologetic about it. And that's the beauty of brand positioning, because it allows you to compete on your own terms. You can go head to head and say the same things as someone else and try and occupy the same position as them. Or you can say, no, 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 we're going to make ourselves about something slightly different. We're going to position ourselves away from that, and we're going to own that unique space. And the third reason that brand positioning is incredibly powerful is that it can actually help us to spot opportunities. Even before you launch a product or a service, you can map the landscape of that category. Who's out there? How are they positioning themselves? And where are the gaps? Where are the opportunities for me to bring something truly unique to the table? Because the truth is, if you launch in a similar position to somebody else, you'll forever be playing catch up. You know, they'll have more brand recognition than you. They'll be further along their journey than you. They'll likely have a bigger budget at that point. They'll have already built up a loyal customer base, and it'll be much harder for you to prize those customers away from them. But if you come with something unique, a unique angle, a unique position, if you launch with that, and you give people a true alternative, you give people a reason to remember you. And if you've already launched, you can still use the same principles to reposition yourself. Probably the most famous, or one of the best examples certainly of this, is how Apple transformed themselves in the late 90s and early 2000s. And they went from, you know, a fairly niche, boring personal computer brand who was struggling at the time to compete with Microsoft, and almost overnight they turned themselves into a lifestyle brand that was all about design excellence and innovation. Now, before I show you how to actually implement this stuff, I've got a huge favor to ask. If you're enjoying this, please do consider liking and subscribing below. It really helps me out, and it really makes it easier for me to carry on making these type of videos. Right, so that's why brand positioning is so important. Let's go step by step on how you can actually do it yourself. Step one is map the landscape. Start by drawing your own version of that 4-quadrant graph that we looked at earlier. Now, you will need to choose your own labels and attributes that best reflect your specific industry, but here are some ideas to help get you started. The very process of choosing these words is important, and it might take you a few goes to find combinations of words that start making sense, but it's a really illuminating exercise. It can help you shed new light on your category and help you see your specific industry from different angles. The one thing I would caveat here is that we should try and stay away from words which describe a personality type or a visual style. And the reason I say that is we want our positioning to be based on what our brand stands for rather than how it expresses itself. And if you think about it, you can, if we had premium as one of our attributes, well, you can express premium in lots of different ways, from very, very sophisticated and minimal visually to something a little bit more busy or playful. Step two, map your position. Now plot your brand and your competitors' position on the map, and be as honest as you can when you do this. And then ask yourself, is this really where I want to sit right now? Are there any gaps that I could shift into to further differentiate myself from my competitors? Step three, define your audience. Once you've locked down your position, ask yourself, who is the kind of person who is going to be looking for this combination of attributes? And this is a really powerful step, because we're now starting to make connections between what our brand is known for and who that's most likely to resonate with. So we're starting to get really focused. Step four, craft your positioning statement. Now, here's a really simple framework that you can use when constructing and structuring your positioning statement. For target audience, name of brand, offers, product/solution, that, core benefit or differentiator, because, reason to believe. And using our Volvo example from earlier, we might end up with something like, for people who appreciate solid build quality and purposeful design, Volvo offers well-engineered, practical cars that provide exceptional safety and long-term dependability, because peace of mind is the ultimate driving experience. And just to be super clear, this is not meant to be a strapline. So the language does not need to be super snappy, but it does need to be super clear. This is not meant as a customer-facing piece of communication. It is meant as an internal compass, which helps guide you when making decisions about your outward-facing touchpoints. So your positioning statement should guide and inform your website, your socials, your packaging, and they should all embody what is in your positioning statement. Now, let's make this even clearer by walking through an example together. Let's imagine we're launching a new fizzy drink brand. So on screen here, you can see my 4-quadrant graph. It's the same that we've looked at throughout this video. And on the y-axis, we've got healthy and natural at the top and indulgent and sugary at the bottom. And on our x-axis, we've got everyday on the left and premium on the right. Now let's plot some imaginary competitors onto this map first. So let's say that down here we've got brand A, who are a classic fizzy drink in a can, unhealthy, sugary, but with mass market appeal. We've got another competitor up here, brand B. These guys are still everyday and affordable, but they're a little higher up on the healthy scale. This could be like a supermarket sparkling water with natural flavors, something like that. Brand C over here, maybe this is a sparkling water kefir drink. They're all about purity and wellness and positioning themselves as super, super premium. And maybe down here we've got brand D, who are an artisanal handcrafted drink, and they're aiming themselves maybe at high-end bars and restaurants. So this is our category landscape. Now what's interesting here is that there's a gap in this kind of area. Maybe that's where our new brand could live. Let's call it Bloom. It sits comfortably in that healthy, natural space, but remains approachable and accessible and easy to reach for everyday consumers. And now we ask ourselves, well, who might that appeal to? Well, maybe it's health-conscious adults who've grown out of the super sugary fizzy drinks, but they don't want to be drinking plain water all day. The wellness scene is just a little bit too much for them, but they do want to make healthier everyday choices, and they do appreciate a little bit of flavor, and they don't want to feel too restricted. So now we can use our positioning statement framework from earlier to craft a positioning statement for our brand Bloom. And this might end up looking something like this. For health-conscious adults who want to make better everyday choices without giving up flavor, Bloom is a naturally sweetened sparkling drink that offers refreshing taste and simple ingredients at an accessible price. Because we believe healthy choices should be easy, enjoyable, and for everyone. And just to reiterate, this is not a strapline. It is meant as an internal document, an internal reference that we would use to measure everything else that we do that is public facing, from our packaging to our website to our social media. Everything embodies this statement. So that's how you can take your brand to the next level, better connect with the right customers, and reduce the amount of real competition that your brand is up against using brand positioning. Now, if you enjoyed this, recently made a video on why I think brand guidelines are a waste of time, and you can check that out here.